So I'm going to give you an example of each of those three. Well, the first one I call the feckless friend. This is a leader who is generally positive to their subordinates. You know, they say hello, they chat gaily in the morning. You know, it's not about work, it's just whatever. They're inoffensive, they're not very demanding. They don't have performance discussions because that would be difficult, right? And they'd have to really engage in that. So here's one example I think fits this very well. See what you think. This you probably recognize this gentleman. The photo here says it all. This is George Bush on the deck of an aircraft carrier on the second day of the Iraq-U.S. war. This is the second day. He's declaring victory.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That was the quote.
Yeah, right.
Mission accomplished. Right? This went on for, I think, troops started withdrawing about 7 years to the day after this photo was taken. So, very pleasant, never offend anyone, no difficult discussions. Often short-term results at the expense of longer-term decisions. I think a decent example of what I call the feckless friend, just very inoffensive. Have you seen these leaders? You never have a difficult conversation. Everybody's sort of mildly positive to neutral about them. Here's a second example I call the individual contributor. This is your example, exactly. So I've performed well by doing these things before, so I'll just continue to do these things now that I'm in a leadership role. There are books written about this, right? There's a book called What Got You Here Will Not Get You There, which is about this phenomenon. So focus on their own performance, won't delegate to people because they're used to doing it themselves and that's how they're successful, and so giving it up to somebody else is a very, I think, frightening thing, and so sometimes really fearful about involving other people. So here's the best example I can come up with of this that everyone pretty much around the world would know. And Barack Obama really over-delegated. I mean, he had a very tight, loyal staff, and he let them do whatever they did. He didn't give them direction. He over-delegated. He didn't hold them accountable. He just gave them responsibilities and let them go. So remember the definition of laissez-faire. I admire, this is a difficult example for me because there's a lot about him I admire too. But the reason I think this fits is the reason, one of the reasons I think Donald Trump got elected were the things that Barack Obama did not do. So my final example is what I call the solipsist. Are you familiar with solipsism philosophy? So you know the notion that I can only know my own experience. It's all that exists, right? That's probably a gross oversimplification, but that's really sort of how this one shows up. Sometimes these are very smart people, very knowledgeable people, but typically one of the telltale signs is politically and interpersonally clueless, just unable to connect with other people, share empathy with other people, which erodes trust very quickly, and they just show people you're irrelevant to me. You just don't matter, your view. And sometimes very critical, but not in a helpful way. So can you guess who the example will be? Since we're on a trend. So the funniest thing about this to me is this is the official White House photo. This is not one I just pulled off of the internet. This is the one he wants you to see.
Oh my God.
That says something about him. I'm not sure what. That says something. But we've seen this over and over again. Very independent, very vocal, public statements. For example, one of his staff started having talks with North Korea. This is before he thought it was a good idea. Right? It's just these independent, random, contrary, that keep everybody on their toes. By the way, as of yesterday, turnover in the White House staff, do you know this? Do you know what the, just take a guess. 60%. 74%. If any of you were causing 74% turnover in your organizations, they'd probably find a way to fire you. Right? They would definitely, I would definitely not be in my role if we had 74% turnover. 74%. So ignoring input, so not taking any advice from the team. You know, one of the great things about we've been studying humble leaders. One of the great things about humble leaders is they not only will they take advice from their team, they're asking for advice. They're trying to leverage other people's knowledge and experience and so forth. But in this case, it just doesn't matter what you know, even if it might be valuable to me, team leader, just because this person believes they know it, they can do it. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what your expectations are. It's all about me. There you go. A few final thoughts for you. First of all, I hope I've convinced you at least a little bit on some of these topics. You know, it's easy to find high-performing leaders. All you have to do is look for the high-performing teams. That's how you know there's a high-performing leader around. It's easy to identify the tyrants. They're the ones with the most ineffective, disorganized, scrambled teams. It is difficult to detect absentee leaders, and which is interesting because from the bosses, the senior leadership, they often are invisible. Like, you're not causing me problems, so I'm just going to, you're okay over here. You do whatever you're doing because I've got all these other problems I have. So with that, I'll leave you with a little absentee leadership quote.